I want to welcome everybody to the November 27, 2018 Board of Commissioners meeting. And we have Rabbi Aaron Evans lead us in the invocation, and then Officer Nathan Mullins leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So those are willing to leave. I'm sorry? With the help of the Boy Scouts, that's right. So those are willing and able, please stand.
Everyone please bow their heads. God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, we thank you for this day, Lord, that you bless us with another time to be able to live and breathe and share time with family and friends, those in our community. Abba, we just pray that you would look down upon this assembly, Lord, and give it wisdom and strength and courage to continue to guide and lead this county. We thank you for the utmost blessings upon this county and its leadership. Thank you for all things, and ask it in the name of Moran Yeshua, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen. We need to get the scouts up here first.
Get some in the back there.
Let's just get everybody up here.
Okay, we ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, you guys got to stand here for the whole meeting. They didn't get that brief. Okay, well, we have a couple presentations tonight, and so I'll let Commissioner Cupid. Yes, ma'am. Oh, come on.
Good evening. We're going to kick off tonight in recognition of youth homelessness here. And we have a few people with us today who are going to help us with this recognition of this issue in our community. You are welcome to come join me. Come one, maybe come all, as many as you desire to be a part of this proclamation. Thank you. Hi, Catherine. Sure, please. Commissioner Ott said he should have, that the director should have told us to wear our PJs. Commissioners sleep in their suits. He didn't know that. These are our PJs. We are formal all the time. Wow. Okay, so we'll double, triple, quadruple up here. And I see one back there. Is it your desire to be here?
She might be taking pictures
Oh, okay.
or something.
Very good. Up here, we have a number of stakeholders who are with us, and I'm pleased on behalf of the Center for Children and Young Adults to bring this proclamation before you to bring, again, awareness to youth homelessness. Whereas youth homelessness is a significant problem in the United States, surging in recent years to an all-time high, amounting to one child in every 30. And whereas 39% of the entire homeless population in America are children, and those ages 12 to 17 are more likely to become homeless than adults. And whereas the caregivers of homeless youth have been unavailable, unwilling, unsafe, or unable to care for their children because they are deceased, incarcerated, homeless, abusive, suffer addiction, or cannot provide basic needs of food, shelter, clothing, and nurturance. And whereas homelessness impacts the physical, cognitive, social, and emotional health and well-being of these young people, causing chronic and severe trauma long into adulthood. And whereas homeless, abandoned, and maltreated youth are at a greater risk for substance abuse, mental health diagnoses, physical abuse, sexual exploitation, pregnancy, serious illness, suicide, and criminal justice involvement. And whereas the Center for Children and Young Adults Incorporated provides safe and suitable emergency, temporary, and transitional housing for at-risk homeless youth who have been abandoned, abused, neglected, and or sexually exploited within our community. And whereas the Center for Children and Young Adults works tirelessly with community partners to help homeless youth secure permanent housing with an identified caregiver or independently as young adults. And whereas the Center for Children and Young Adults ensures youth access to medical and dental health care on-site, therapeutic services, including individual and group counseling, animal-assisted therapy, music therapy and movement therapy, educational services, including a GED homeschool literacy program and Title I tutoring, social services case management, employment and job readiness, youth development opportunities, chaplain support, and nutrition and farm-to-table activities. And whereas under the guidance, dedication, and vision of their volunteer board of directors, the Center for Children and Young Adults has housed and served more than 7,800 youth since its inception in 1981. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of November National Homeless Youth Awareness Month in Cobb County, and commend the Center for Children and Young Adults Incorporated for their steadfast commitment to providing essential housing and human services to this vulnerable youth population in our community. This, the 27th day of November, 2018. Thank you for all you would do. And I'm going to provide you an opportunity to talk about CCYA.
Well, I'm Kim Borna, and I'm the director of the center, and I will be here 9 years in January. And it is a pleasure to serve, and of all my jobs, it is the greatest job I've ever had, and I'm grateful to be able to serve and do the work we do. I get to be employed and serve at the same time. I would like to let you know that it takes a village in our county to raise and house and nurture and heal the children who live at the center, and we just would like to introduce our partners today. So,
I'm Maureen Locke. I'm the board chair at the center and part of the Cobb County Master Gardeners.
My name is Marcia Brenner. I'm part of a group called the Guardian Angels, which is a community group of volunteers. And would everybody who's part of our Guardian Angels that's here tonight just kind of raise their hand, all right? That we are a very large group that provide acts of kindness for things that the center cannot afford, which is a lot.
Tony Moore, Master Gardener from Douglas County, but we have a lot from Cobb County also.
Hi, I'm Venetia Smith with Genuine Parts Company. We've been partnering with the CCYA for almost a decade and providing both financial and volunteer support.
Angela Reitner, board member and with DPR Construction, and we've been working, I think, about 3 years, maybe 4.
Okay. I'm Victor Brown. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Center for Children, and on behalf of the staff, would you please raise your hand, staff? We're the staff at the center, and we want to just say thank you for our service, allowing us to serve.
I am Lysandra Bodie. I am the County Director for Cobb County Department of Family and Children Services, and CCYA is a blessing to us for our youth, and so we are very appreciative of all that they do for our kids and all of the partners here tonight.
I'm Kim McCoy with the District Attorney's Office, and we obviously partner with the Center for Victim Service Needs.
I'm Mike DeWitt with Brightworth, and I'm also involved with Leadership Cobb, and that's where I was introduced to this organization about 5 years ago, and now I'm on the board.
I'm Susan Jenkins. I am the Service Council sponsor at Sutcliffe Elementary, and I'm proud to say we were the very first elementary school to do Pajama Pants Day to support CCYA. And it's been, I think, 55 schools are now doing it, so we're very proud.
My name is Kimberly Pullen, and I work for Print Pack Incorporated. I've been volunteering at the center about 9 years. I think I've been on the board about 5 years.
I'm Kay Anderson. I'm right now vice chair of the board and represent Marietta Metro Rotary Club. And this is one of the community partners that we really like to support.
Dwight Blackwood, I'm on the board. I'm with the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, and we provide as much assistance as we can under government regulations.
I'm Steve Yarish. I'm the president of GSAC, a provider association that is a strong partner with the Center for Children and Young Adults.
Eric Yeager, I'm with the Cobb County Police Department. I serve on the board.
Kimberly Roberts, I'm with the Cobb County CDBG Program Office, and the county has long time supported CCYA since the 90s, and so it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with the team.
Good evening. Lieutenant Holt with the Cobb County Sheriff's Department. We have partnered with CCYA for approximately 4 years now.
I'm Irene Barton with the Cobb Collaborative. We work to unite and support all nonprofits for success.
Kevin Daniel, Chief of Staff of the Cobb County School District. We appreciate the partnership and the great work of the CCYA.
And I'm Anna Murphy. I'm the school social work supervisor, and I have the great opportunity to work with all the staff and serve the children that attend the Center for Children and Young Adults.
Scott White, I'm a district chief with Cobb Fire, and I just want to say that the staff at CCYA does just an amazing job with the children that they have there, and I'm proud to serve on the board. I'm sorry.
Okay. My name is Reverend Charles Maxwell, Senior Pastor of the Breakthrough Fellowship. We've been a part of CCYA for the past 3 years. I sit on the board, my wife as well, and we are just excited the fact that we've led 30 children to Christ in that partnership. In addition, I'm also a senior executive of the Aon Corporation, and we're looking forward to doing further work with CCYA.
And most of us didn't come straight from work, or if we did, we came from CCYA. We're wearing our pajama pants tonight because it's National Homeless Youth Awareness Month. We're raising awareness through our Pajama Pants Challenge, and the Cobb schools have been great in their dollar pajama days for us. So that's why we're all wearing our pajama pants tonight. So thank you for this honor. We're very, very grateful, and we appreciate the support from Cobb County.
Okay, we're going to try to get everyone in a group picture.
I love a challenge.
Yes, you can hold. You want to hold and probably go in the middle and hold that. Hi, Steve.
From Georgia State.
I've been trying to get you. Thank you. I'm trying. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Thank you. Good seeing you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Okay. As we transition, we're going to next move into our proclamation to recognize November as National Diabetes Month. If there's anyone here with respect to this proclamation, would kindly ask that you join me up front here. Okay, is there anyone here from Kudzu this evening? Okay. Okay, we'll let them clear out just a little bit. Okay. Say we have another proclamation this evening, and it's to recognize, again, November as National Diabetes Month. Whereas more than 30 million children and adults in the United States have diabetes, and 1.5 million Americans are diagnosed with it every year, between 1988 and 2014, diabetes diagnoses increased by 382%. A 2014 behavioral risk factor study in Cobb County revealed that 7% of the county's adults have diabetes. And whereas the Center for Disease Control approximates that 1.25 million American children and adults have type 1 diabetes, representing 5% of all people diagnosed with diabetes. Type 1 often affects children and young adults and is often hereditary and unpreventable, but treatable. Type 2 diabetes is the most prevalent, and at least 1/3 of the people in the United States will develop it in their lifetime. Type 2 can be hereditary, but is also known as adult-onset diabetes because it is often triggered by aging, excess weight, lack of exercise, and an unhealthy diet. According to the National Institutes of Health, diabetes kills more Americans every year than AIDS and breast cancer combined. In 2016, diabetes was the number 11 cause of death in Cobb County. And whereas racial disparities are generally prevalent in the diagnosis of diabetes, nationally, African Americans and Hispanics are more than 50% more likely to have diabetes than non-Hispanic whites. However, in Cobb County, African Americans and Caucasians have almost the same rate of diabetes at 7.4% and 7.3% respectively. Still, racial and ethnic minority populations have a higher risk of complications of diabetes, such as lower limb amputations, kidney failure, and eye disease, which can result in loss of vision. And whereas November is National Diabetes Month, we are fortunate to have community stakeholders that are working tirelessly to deliver programs and provide resources to reverse trends in diabetes. Community-based and employer-based programs are evolving to better educate populations about how to avoid the onset of diabetes and how to reduce health risks and costs associated with the disease. Community and peer support are also improving how people control their diabetes through education and self-management. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize the serious trends and impact of diabetes and honor our local stakeholders in their dedicated efforts to address and eradicate the disease in our community. Presented this 27th day of November 2018. Well, thank you. We have a representative here with Kaiser Permanente, and they'll talk a little bit about their work in addressing diabetes here in Cobb.
Thank you, Lisa, for having me. My name is Belkis Pimentel. I am the Physician Program Director for Quality, Performance, and Population Health at Kaiser Permanente in Georgia. And we have quite a bit of diabetics, at least 30,000 diabetics in our membership. And we have programs placed in order to improve their control so they have less complications, as Lisa has mentioned. It is a serious disease. And we also do a program where we help prevent diabetes. Now, for us to be able to do that, we first have to screen the population. And as you heard, there are many people who don't know they have diabetes. So in our program, we help people by getting some testing. And if they do have prediabetes, then we have a 1-year program that's intensive lifestyle change and behavior change to help reduce that risk. So you include lifestyle, you include exercise, and you include changes to the way you live and eat. that will help reduce the risk. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you.
And one more. Okay, yes. Oh, yes, Tash reminded me about the reward we received. So the CDC has recognized us for having the diabetes prevention program. It's something that we have been in the making for several years, and we had an improvement of weight loss over 5.7% over the 1 year, and you needed to get 5% to get recognized for the program. So we're recognized for the next 2 years, and we look forward to helping more people prevent diabetes. And one more thing, don't forget to get your flu shot.
Very good, yes.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. And just personally speaking, I have multiple family members who have diabetes diagnoses. I mean, this hits home for so many of us. The triggers that impact those that have diabetes, eating healthy, exercising, these are all the things that are not as easy for many of us to do, particularly as we age, but they are important and just vital for us to not only stay healthy, but to remain clear of having a diagnosis of diabetes, which will result in us changing our lifestyle, whether or not we want to or not. So I just can't share how important it is that we do bring awareness to this, and hopefully if there's anyone out here, particularly our young people, our scouts who are here, your life is in the decisions that you make day by day to live a healthy lifestyle, and just hope that this presentation today just encourages some of you to take the steps to do that. So with that, we'll take a picture.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cupid. All right, we have a couple of public hearings tonight. Dana or Michael, you're going to lead on the Chattahoochee Corridor Plan Certificate.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners, County Manager. The purpose of this agenda item is for you to conduct a public hearing and approve a Chattahoochee Corridor Plan Certificate of Compliance for 2 new single-family residential buildings on a lot split at 4259 Woodland Brook. By way of background, the subject property was submitted to the Atlanta Regional Commission for review and comment as mandated by the Metropolitan River Protection Act of 1973. That basic process under the act requires that local governments review land disturbance permit activity within 2,000 feet of the Chattahoochee Corridor and certify that those activities are consistent with guidelines for development. The Atlanta Regional Commission staff has reviewed and found the development plans to be consistent with those guidelines in the Chattahoochee Corridor Plan. And with that background, staff is requesting to conduct a public hearing.
You want to show the 2 maps first, or do you want to? How do you want to do this, Commissioner? Separately, or?
Well, it's basically a split of a lot.
Right. So
because I know Roberta asked me a question earlier about it. Because the ARC looked at it. So I really think that, this map, all they did was split the lot. So I think, Michael, if you put up the site plan, that should be sufficient.
Okay, all right. So that, just to give you the ground rules, we're going to do a public hearing. Unlimited number of speakers. Each speaker has 3 minutes. And if you choose to come up and speak, please let us know who you are and where you live. So with that, I now open the public hearing to approve the Chattahoochee Corridor Plan Certificate of Compliance for 2 new single-family residential buildings on lot split at 4259 Woodland Brook. Would anyone care to address this issue? Roberta, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. As you know, my name is Roberta Cook. I live in Mapleton, Georgia. And as you mentioned, this property, coincidentally, I've been studying the application that came from the Atlanta Regional Commission, and your agenda item does not match what was filed with ARC. ARC, I'm looking at the application, it's dated October 31st. And what it says on the application, and I'll read it verbatim, and I'll be glad to give you a copy if you don't have a copy in front of you. But what they filed with ARC says, an application for a Metropolitan River Protection Act certificate for the removal of an existing single-family residence and the construction of a new single-family residence on 2 lots. So what they're asking for is 1 home, not 2, on the application. And all the configuration they've done with the MERPA laws, they're concerned about impervious surface and land disturbance. So all the calculations were based on removal of the existing house and building a new one. So if your agenda item shows 2 houses, if they want to build 2 houses, they need to put in, it looks like to me, a new application to ARC.
All right, if you, I think that the only thing that's in error is the wording in the agenda item. If you look at this plan, on site plans where a structure is going to be removed, you see how that's kind of shaded.
Right.
So I think that the application they filed and the site plan they filed is correct. That
Yeah, for what they're asking
They're
for.
dividing the lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're removing the house on the upper part of this picture and building the house on the bottom part. So that's what went with the application. So I think the only thing that needs to be corrected is in the agenda item where it says for the approval of 2, it's actually the approval of 1 home. But at the end result, there will be 2 lots. One of them will not have a home and 1 will. And if you look at the site plan, that's what it shows.
Right, but your agenda item doesn't say that. Your
Well,
agen-
I know, that's what I'm saying is that the word 2 just needs to be changed to 1 because everything else that the county has matches what you just said.
Okay, let me see.
Let's look at the site plan up there. This is what the county.
Okay, so I see what you're saying on the agenda item, just change the 2
Word
to a
2 to a
1.
1, and then everything else is in line.
Okay,
And the confusion is that at the end, there's gonna be 2 lots,
right,
but only 1 house.
right.
And like you said, that's what the application says, that's what the site plan shows.
Mhm.
But, so what would happen is if they were to sell this other lot and want to build a house, they would have to do another MERPA application for that lot.
Right.
So everything's in order, it just, the wording in the agenda item needs to be changed from 2 to 1.
Correct. And then I do have another comment
Sure.
past that.
Since you caught that,
Yeah.
we're going to give you
Yeah.
bonus points.
Well, and the other thing that stood out to me is the new house. This is very topographically challenged land. So, and it's heavily wooded with old trees. And their land disturbance line is about 8, as far as I could see, 8 feet from the neighbor's property. So what they're doing, they're going to have to clear trees up there. And being that close to the property line, they're going to be in the drip line of the neighbor's trees, which basically means when you get into the roots of trees, that either kills them or destabilizes them and could, you know, in the future fall on the new house or fall on the neighbor's properties, and there would be the neighbor's trees. So bottom line is they're building the house and causing land disturbance too close to their neighbor. Looks to me.
That may or may not be true, but the issue in front of the board is to accept the MERPA
Right.
Recommendations from the ARC.
Mhm.
It's not, this is not like a zoning where we're looking at where
Right.
the house is placed. The county has rules,
Mhm.
and, you know, you and I both know that they can't build a house 8 feet from the property line.
No, but the
And-
land disturbance goes
Well,
up.
and so that'll all have to be addressed with Dave Braden and Stormwater, but the purpose of tonight
Right.
is simply to accept the ARC's MERPA.
Right, got it.
Okay.
Just, I understand. I just wanted to make that comment publicly.
Well,
Thank you.
Roberta, it's always a pleasure to have you up here.
Same here, thanks.
Amy, welcome back.
I was looking
Amy,
at that.
we got to know who you are.
Oh, Everybody knows I'm Amy Barnes. I live in Marietta.
The scouts don't know, and they
But
need
I
to
look
know.
at that plan, and I do see that there's high-level land going down into low-level land. And I'm wondering if this process that you're talking about, this certificate, has included the rear ratios, extra drainage. Has that been addressed in this process to obtain this certificate?
Part of the ARC analysis is they look at
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
square
I
footage
can't
of the
hear.
lot, they look at the amount of impervious, they look at the drainage, that's all part of the process.
Okay, so
Because you-
drainage is addressed.
Yes, and what happens is they can't make it worse than
Yeah,
it
that's
already
state
is.
law.
And the reason it's under the River Protection Act is because it's trying to protect the river. So drainage is one of the things that's considered.
Good, good, good. Thank you. Approve it. I think it's great.
Feel much better about it now.
Well, there we go. So I guess I'll just have to make a motion.
Does anyone else like to comment on this? All right, seeing none, I now declare this public hearing closed on the approval of the Chattahoochee Corridor Plan Certificate recommendation.
All right, so I would make a motion to approve the issuance of a Chattahoochee Corridor Plan Certificate of Compliance for one new single-family house on the residential building as a result of a lot split of 4259 Woodland Brook, and accept the ARC's MERPA.
We have a second? We have a second? Any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Michael. All right, and now we have a public hearing about adopting a resolution to place a home on a historic property list. Jason?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Jason Gaines from the Community Development Agency. This item before you is to conduct a public hearing and consider adopting a resolution designating the Hill Crow White House at 2419 Old Lost Mountain Road as a historic property by placing it on the Cobb County Register of Historic Places. The owners of the Hill Crow White House, Bud and Sue White, who are here with us this evening, have requested that their historic house be nominated to the Cobb County Register of Historic Places. The Historic Preservation Planner in the Planning Division of Community Development has completed research with the assistance of the property owners on the architectural and historic significance of the property. Legal ads announcing the nomination in the first public hearing before the Historic Preservation Commission appeared in the October 26th, October 30th, and November 2nd, 2018 editions of the Marietta Daily Journal. Staff has presented the designation of this property to the Historic Preservation Commission and conducted a public hearing on November 12, 2018, which is the first step in placing a property on the local register. The Historic Preservation Commission voted unanimously to recommend to the Board of Commissioners that the Hill Crow White House be designated as historic and added to the Cobb County Register of Historic Places. To complete the process, the Board of Commissioners must conduct a second public hearing and vote to officially add the nominated property to the register. Legal ads announcing the nomination and the public hearing before the Board of Commissioners appeared in the November 9th, November 13th, and November 16th, 2018 editions of the Marietta Daily Journal. And before I ask the chairman to open the public hearing, I'll just give a brief presentation of the nominated property, the Hill Crow White House. This is a brief overview of the process for nominating and adding properties to the register. Of course, we're at that final bullet at the bottom of this list here tonight. This is just acknowledging that properties that are on the local register are required to obtain a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Preservation Commission for any material changes to the exterior of structures or to the land itself. Also acknowledges that owners of properties that are both on the local register and the National Register of Historic Places are eligible for tax benefits, tax breaks, if you will, on the property. This is a location map of the site, which is outlined in yellow. It's an inset map showing its general location in the county. It's a brief background, a history of the house. It was built around 1900, sits itself on about 1.5 acres, and was a hub of agricultural activity for well over 70 years. It is one of the last remaining examples of its style of architecture and construction in the county, and is indeed a valuable historic resource, hence the nomination to the local register. Couple different viewpoints of the house. And with that, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, and if not, I gladly ask that the chairman open the public hearing.
Okay. Well, again, the same ground rules, limited number of speakers, 3 minutes per speaker, and we'd please ask you to identify yourself if you choose to speak. So with that, I now open up this public hearing to consider adopting the resolution designating the Hill Crow White House as a historic property, placing it on the Cobb County Register of Historic Places. Is anyone here that'd like to address the board on that issue? Is there anyone here who would like to address the board on that issue? Seeing none, I now declare this public hearing closed, and I'll turn the podium over to you, Commissioner Cupid.
With that, I move that the board adopt the resolution designating the Hill Crow White House at 2419 Old Lost Mountain Road as a historic property by placing it on the Cobb County Register of Historic Places.
Second. Second. Any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Jason. Okay, now I'd like to, if you'd go ahead and start running the consent agenda on this. Oh, I'm sorry, public comment. If you would not start scrolling the consent agenda on the screen, I'd appreciate it.
You have 3 speakers, the first of which is Amy Barnes, if you come forward.
Okay, you have 5 minutes, and Amy, we know who you are.
Okay, one of the main things I wanted to address tonight was an interesting phenomenon with the bus schedule, and I'm not really harping on the bus schedules. It's just that there's a crosswalk that we need, if possible, where Austell Road goes with the 30 and the 15 stopping at the same location on Austell, with both of those buses also stopping on the cross of the street. And what happens is if you're coming in from Atlanta, you're coming in off the 15 or the 30 and you want to switch over perhaps to a different bus, you have to cross the street. And that location of the bus stops are not at a crosswalk. And one of my questions was, how much does it cost to paint a striping across the road saying, hey, let these people cross, maybe install a light? I don't know the cost of this, but if you look at the time it takes to walk to the crosswalk, legally cross the street, because we have so many jaywalkers on that road, and then go back to the bus stop on the opposite side, by the time you're all sweating and you made it across and wow, well, you've missed that bus that you were trying to catch. So that adds possibly, I don't know, half an hour to an hour onto your commuting time, and you're late. So I'm hoping if there's a way we can avoid people getting hit on Austell again, that would be cool. What do we have to do to get a crosswalk?
Could you get with Commissioner Cupid?
Yes.
She's right on top of that whole district, and I'm sure she'd be glad to work with you.
Okay, I didn't know if it
No,
was
it's a reasonable question and request.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's probably some simple solution to that.
The other thing is, I've noticed that when the police department is out there on Twitter and they say, hey, this thing just happened, and this happens all over Atlanta, APD will comment, hey, there's this crime, or hey, there's a fire. I've noticed that when our public sphere is interacted with over Twitter and Facebook, particularly Twitter, you get a lot of feedback from the people. And I was hoping if there's a way that Cobb County as a whole could communicate more over Twitter and Facebook.
Well, we do, Mamie, but we're restricted by the number of people who can respond to the Twitter account. So we have Twitter, you know that. Ross is here.
Oh, yeah.
We have a growing number of followers. I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there. I can spell
You
Twitter.
should
I
follow
can spell
your own
Twitter, yes.
county. Did I hear like treasonous speech?
We're getting there. No, it's a great question, and I think that if you just take a look at what we've done over the last year.
Oh, I
since
have.
Ross came on
I've been
board,
monitoring it.
we're getting better.
Yes.
And we know that we have to enlarge our Twitter following, because that's how people are communicating with today.
You can hit me up like in less than a second.
So if you get with Ross, give you some ideas, I'm sure he'll jump right on it for you.
Okay. I would suggest that each county department have a person if possible. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Amy. It's always
Chairman,
great having
if I may
Sure,
advise, I mean,
absolutely.
Yasanya's there for my office, but we also have our DOT director, and communicating with her directly would be much more expedient. And
Sure.
Erica, if you don't mind just raising your hand there, she'll connect with you on that suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
The next speaker is Ken Howell.
Ken, are you on Twitter?
No.
Your district?
But he's from the same hometown.
Good evening.
Was that your district?
Good evening, Ken. Good to have you.
All righty, guys. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. My name is Ken Howell. I'm with the Georgia Community Coalition, and I'm addressing you again this evening on the Flex Bus. I know you're tired of looking at me, and I'm tired of looking at you. But,
At least we're on the same page.
but, you know, we're still having some problems with this transition from the Flex Bus to the Uber and Lyft thing. And one is the fares. If the proposed $2 to ride an Uber or Lyft to the bus, and then when you get on the bus, you pay $2.50. A total of $4.50, which is the same fare as an express bus rider. So we're adding $80 a month increase to South Cobb bus riders to their fare if they take an Uber, and then, because you can't transfer from an Uber to a bus. And Erica and Eric are both aware of this, and we've talked about it, and they're looking at it. But that's adding $80 to their bus fare a month, and it's not fair. We need to do something about that. And again, no, I promised I wouldn't do that. Okay, so I addressed that another time. But what I am asking is that I couldn't put it in a written proposal because my ink cartridge ran out. I was trying to save up my $80 for my next ride. But if we keep the flex bus system and just do what we had proposed, to put it on a fixed route bus system rather than a residential reservation service, we can service more people and we can cover the zone, more residents in the zone. And the fare stays at $2.50. I mean, and the subsidy that is now being paid for those rides to be picking somebody up at home who can walk to a bus stop, we're paying anywhere from $45 to $60 per trip. We don't need to be paying that. We never should have paid that. We fought that from the time that it was implemented. But now if we go to a fixed route bus system in those zones, it takes away that subsidy. And we can serve the people of that community fairly. I mean, we were talking about not circulating through our express buses through downtown Atlanta. The people who ride the express push back. So now we've changed our position. Now we're going to continue to run down there. Let them pay for an Uber. You know, if you get to the Civic Center or the Art Center and you work at the federal building, we don't need to drop you off at your office. You call it Uber. These people out here in South Cobb can't afford an Uber and an additional $80 on their bus fare a year. There's a simple solution, and I'm asking you to do it from January to March. Just from January to March, just to collect the data to show that it's a better fix. We have all of December to have the public hearings that we have to have in order to make the changes to the route. And just run it from January to March. If the data proves that Uber or Lyft would be better, I'll shut up. And you could go ahead on and bring in Uber and Lyft with the corrections to the fares that I've asked for. But I think it is more than fair to that community to give it that 3 months final in the testing area, because we're still in the testing time for the flex bus service. Give us those 3 months to show that we can increase the ridership. That's all I have.
Okay, hold on, Ken.
All right. Now, you know, because you've had conversations with me and you've had conversations with Eric and Erica, that the fares are not set in stone. There have been proposals out there, and you and among others have made the issue about the $2.50 and the $2, you know, the transfer, and you make valid points. But those numbers that you're quoting, those are not written in stone. Everything's still in flux. I mean, the RFP is scheduled to go out in January for the Uber and Lyft proposal. So until the county gets back the responses to the RFP, there's no way to know. I mean, it could come back, like you say, that Uber and Lyft is way too expensive compared to a fixed bus. But so right now, we're in the middle of the process. All the options are being considered and looked at. You and others have pointed out some of the difficulties or the problems with the switching from flex to an Uber and then transferring from an Uber to the fixed routes. The folks that came in and talked about the express buses had their issues, but nothing's been changed. It's just whether or not the conversation, it's just absorbing all the information that you and others bring to the public comment in the working the process of figuring out what the best way to do this. That's why we're doing the CTP. That's why we have the survey on transit. You know, all of this stuff's being looked at together. I mean, the board knows that there's issues that need to be fixed, but nobody wants to rush in and make the wrong choice. So I mean, I appreciate the comments you make here and the ones that, you know, when you and I get together, and we're going to get together again next week and talk about it. And, you know, we're just going to take all those notes down. I've got the notes from our last meeting on my desk, and I've talked to Eric and Erica, and we're, you know, we're continuing to look at all of that.
I understand. I can only work with the numbers that I get.
Well, and that's what that's initially what they put out, and I told them that that wasn't going to work either, because you're exactly right. Everybody else is paying a $2.50 fare. Folks using Uber and Lyft shouldn't be paying $4.50. So we'll continue to look at it.
All righty, but when I graduated from college in the mental health field, I had to do a practical. I had to work in the criminally insane department at O'Barry.
Some would say that's what we're doing here.
Hospital in Goldsboro.
So where are you going with this, Ken?
Everything needs to be practiced before you put it in.
And no one has said that that won't happen. You just want it to happen in January. What I'm saying is, give staff a chance to collect the data that they want to collect. Part of that data is getting the responses back to the RFP. I just had a conversation with them yesterday as to what is holding up the RFP. You know, you have legal has to weigh in on it, risk management has to weigh in on it. There's a whole lot of different things. And so basically, the chairman and I, we discussed this yesterday and basically directed staff that the RFP is going out in January with or without the final ruling by risk management.
Okay, but give me the 3 months. I mean, I've
Well,
still
and
got
you may-
until
and you may
March.
get it.
I've still got until March, and the money is already there. It
Well,
ain't, it ain't like
we're
you
gonna
gotta
collect
go
all the
look for
data
the money.
first.
Yeah, it doesn't work that easy, Ken, you know that. We just can't go and move money around like that, because there's other implications on the overall system. But the good news is, all right, this is an issue that I'm aware of. Commissioner Cupid has made it a big issue for her. Commissioner Otto's on top of this. I, in fact, looked at the Transit Advisory Board comments the other day and asked 3 questions about this. So we're moving at the speed of government. That's as good as I can say. But we are moving. And I just, as much as I would ask you to be a little bit more patient, we're gonna come ultimately with the right decision because you're involved. We hear the customers, the commissioners are involved. And somewhere here, we're gonna find a middle ground where we're gonna make this better than it is right now. You know, it isn't just that we're focused on the fact that it's costing us up to $65 a person for the flex bus, all right? But we have to provide a service. And we're trying to find a way that's responsive to the voters so we can continue to subsidize this system. I'm trying to find a way that we can continue forward in our budget process to continue to provide a service to the county, recognizing that everyone in the county is providing a subsidy, you know, through their taxes to this system. So we got to balance this all out. But the good news, we're airing it all out here. And I can assure you, you're going to be an intimate part of the process because you've asked for that, and we respect your experience and your engagement and your civic involvement. And and by the time we have the discussion next year, you know, you won't have to look at this ugly face again.
Oh, no,
I know that, Ken.
All right.
I really appreciate your passion, though. And, you know, I realize that you have support behind you. You're the voice of it. But we hear you. And we want to make sure we get this right. Because if we don't get it right this time, then we're going to have to wait a number of years to do it again, and that doesn't help anybody in the current system. So better to spend a little bit extra time up front to get it right so that we get it right rather than rush into it and get it wrong. And then we pay the price for years until we have this new process where we once again review all these routes again, which is probably not going to be for another 5 or 10 years.
All righty.
Okay. So thanks,
Thank
Ken.
you. Have a good evening.
All right.
Go Tar Heels.
The final speaker is June Van Brecker.
Did you know him? Did you know Rod? Did you know Rod?
Oh, good afternoon. Good evening. I'm June Van Brackle. I'm the president of the Senior Citizens Council of Cobb County. I been president for about 11 months, and every board meeting I have, the issue of Cobb County senior service fees come up. It's been on our agenda. On our board, there are members from each one of the 5 multipurpose centers. A representative sit on our board. I've had the privilege in the last couple of months to visit each one of those centers along with some of your staff to talk about other fees for rentals and things like that. But at each center, the issue of the fees came up. Now, there are some people and seniors who have no problems with the fees. But I like to just bring some stats to you. Before you had the fees, there were approximately 6,000 members participating in your 5 senior centers. I understand now there's approximately 3,000 people participating. So we have 5 buildings around here that are half underutilized because of these fees. There are approximately 170,000 persons 55 years old and older, and there are 33,000 65 years old and older. The centers are primarily used by the 65 and older people. The senior service facilities are The senior service facilities primarily used by retirees 65 plus, many of whom were financially comfortable and independent during their working days. More than 75% of these people who use these centers are women, many of whom are widows or divorcees who live on a limited fixed income. Access to the senior centers are often the only outlet for them to socialize and to connect with their contemporaries on the outside. The multipurpose senior centers are a welcome enrichment to their lives. Now, many of them question, why was this demographic singled out to pay for county services that heretofore was paid for by tax dollars? Now, there are some people, even seniors, who have expressed that the $60 annual fee is no big deal. Now, that's fine for those who do not have to plan or set aside funds for the payment. If one has to ask a member of their family or even have to plan a budget for it, then it is a big deal for them. There are many who found that after retirement, funds were not going as far as they planned. All of us have that problem, even whether we're retired or not. They found out that the cost of living that they had budgeted for had increased by 30 or 40% in 2 or 3 years after retirement. For example, supplemental health insurance, car insurance is doubled for seniors in Georgia. My car insurance went up to $800 in 6 months, and I used to pay $400 for it. I haven't had an accident in 30 years. So and I don't know whether anybody had that experience or not. Many found that addressing physical and mental health needs for themselves and aging mates, caregiving for their parents, siblings, children, or grandchildren come into play. These are things they wish that somebody had told us before we retired or got older. In the end, whether or not the $60 fee is a financial burden or not to seniors, it should not be the arbiter as to whether Cobb County levies a tax on the seniors to enjoy a good quality of life. And the council really would like you all to revisit this fee so that we can have seniors enjoy their quality of life. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like you to do me a favor. I'd like you to come to the December 10th retreat. I think we'll have some good news for you. But I also want to highlight a couple things. First of all, the seniors were not the only demographic targeted. The parks fees were raised, so it was across the board to pay for services in the county where we simply had run out of resources to pay for them. So I just want to make sure that we're clear about it. As I said last year during my apology tour in January and February, and it wasn't an apology tour because we did not do this very, very well, all right? But I think if you come to the December retreat, we'll probably have some good news for you. But I also want to remember that, I don't know why this didn't get out more often, we had a scholarship for people who couldn't afford it. And I don't know if we drained that fund or if we just had a poor job of communicating it, which is probably true given how poorly we handled the senior center fee. That certainly might have been an issue. But we hear you. And I think this year, with the budget that was passed this summer, we might be able to have a solution on December 10th that you might like hearing, with the understanding that it still has to be approved by the board next summer.
Well, I understand a lot of us didn't know about the scholarship, but you're looking at a demographic of people who are kind of proud.
I get that.
And
That's a good point.
they are not willing to come and divulge that they can't afford $60.
Okay. That's a good point. No,
And also it was not advertised properly either. So you have to look at all of those things. And I know that senior services have another program where people are on certain grants. We're going to talk about that in the next meeting.
Okay, all right.
But I find that a lot of seniors would not come rather than come in and ask you for $60 or $30 or whatever it is. In fact, that was one of the things that our board took up as to whether we would try to develop a grant. And after giving a little survey and a focus group on it, people did not want to come and tell their business in order to get $60.
Okay.
So that's the other reason.
Well, I'm sorry we were in the circumstances where we had to bring it forward. Last year was a bad year. I mean, the word fees and taxes were all over the place. But I think next year, in 2019, we're going to be able to bring a lot of these issues and resolve them, find a middle of the road that's a lot better to a lot of the people in the county.
Well, I will appreciate it.
And we hear you. We
Thank
do.
you.
We hear you. Thank you for your position and your information tonight. Okay. Scouts.
Okay, I gave you guys fair warning. So there's two groups. So we need one person from the group over here and one person from the group over here. You got to come up and ask a question because I know that's a requirement. So Mr. Senior Patrol Leader, both of you are here. You get to pick. So send one up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna send adults up, are we?
Come on, you were that size when you were a scout.
Oh,
Now, you guys don't know this, I mean, Commissioner Weatherford's an Eagle Scout also.
Hi, I'm Cole Reynolds. I live in Marietta. I'm part of Troop 795.
Great.
So my question is what can the youth do about homeless population in like our county, and who do we contact to help like contribute? Either do we contact the Atlanta Food Community Bank or someone else, or how can we help with that?
I'll let the youngest member of the board address that answer.
Is that
Right.
me? Am I still a youth? We had a great presentation for the Center for Young Adults today. And one of the low-hanging fruits that can be considered is just reaching out to the organization and seeing what help they need. Something that I overlooked is just even the clothing that you wear as you outgrow them, and certainly you are a growing young man, or as seasons change, there are kids your age who do not have access to getting clothes as readily as others, and they're always looking for donations for children, but there may be other service opportunities. Another service opportunity which was shared today, you saw everyone who was wearing pajama pants. They actually had a fundraiser for different organizations and even businesses to take part of to allow your employees or your students to wear pants for the fee of $1. That fee was actually a part of a fundraiser to raise money for that facility. So monies raised towards that would go towards helping youth in that program. Now, that's just one program. There's certainly others that are out there. Someone who was here as part of that presentation was the director of DFACS, our Department of Family and Children's Services, who may even have other ideas to share. I mean, we talked about homeless youth, and the Center for Children and Young Adults has children ages 12 to 17, but there are children who are a lot younger too that also could use help. And I believe that there's a program where people can go volunteer and sit with children as they're getting displaced from their homes. But certainly that director of that facility could possibly share some other ideas. So I would encourage you or someone from your troop to reach out to the department and see what ideas they have, or you could reach out to me and I can email her directly if that's something that you would like to explore further.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Mr. Chairman, there's two other things. So you asked me, we talked about, you don't have your Eagle project yet. So one of the things you talk about clothes for homeless. Okay, you could maybe set up a clothing drive. Okay, as it's your Eagle project. The other thing is Mount Bethel Church is just down the road from your church. They have an M25 program, so when the weather is going to go below 25 degrees, they go with Seven Bridges Ministry down to the homeless camps downtown in Atlanta and bring the homeless back to Mount Bethel for the night. So you can get some of your scouts to help with that. You don't have to necessarily go down and get the homeless, but at the church, they feed them, they set up beds. So those are all things that any one of the scouts here tonight could do.
Another low-hanging fruit idea I just thought of too. United Way has a shoebox project. I think it's ongoing throughout the year, but I think my church I attend, they're doing it for December to benefit Must Ministries. But you can put toiletries in a shoebox, and some of the nonprofits could tell you a list of different things to put in there. And one year, I think a group of my friends and I, we did like 40 boxes together, and we just distributed them, and those are appreciative by those that are coming in for a night stay at a shelter. So there's just a myriad of things based on the interest of your troop, and as Commissioner Ott shared, that could be something that could help you towards your merit as an Eagle Scout.
Great ideas. Anybody else?
So I hope you guys doing communication merit badge took notes on that. All right, so we have did you pick somebody over here? Mr. Senior Patrol Leader? If you can't find somebody, it's gonna have to be you.
Yeah,
I guess it's you. Comes with leadership.
Tethered goat.
All right. Earlier, I heard that you were thinking about closing some aquatic centers, and I just wanted to say, like, I'm like, yeah, I know I'm a little behind on this, but like, I just want to say, like, I learned how to swim at the age of 4, and ever since then, I've always been on a swim team. It's just been a big part of my life, and I just would not want to see any aquatic center go. I'd want more stories like mine, like about like young kids, like from the age of 4, like since they're little, growing up and just like having their lives revolve around swimming.
Well, the budget last summer fortunately funded all the aquatic centers. As a matter of fact, it funded all the recreational services in the county. So you can continue to swim.
All right. Yeah. All right. So that's all I had.
Okay. So what I would like your opinion on, what do you think about taxing allowances of children under 18?
I say you should do it. Yes.
Well, there we are.
See, he doesn't get an allowance, so he doesn't care.
Yes.
I'm not going to hold you to that. All right, thank you.
What,
Appreciate it.
where's your troop located? What church or?
We are at St. Catherine's. Yeah.
Okay.
We are Troop 713. Yes. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Can we scroll the consent agenda now? All right, so go ahead and put it up there. And just for all of you, for those who have yesterday's consent agenda, we pulled item 15. And I'm going to make a motion here shortly to add an agenda item as a result of executive session yesterday. That was about. I'm going to ask you to go back, after you're done, go back to 17. We'll talk about something, Cheryl. Okay, go back to 17, please. The board has been very, very sensitive to ensuring that any kind of bond issues that are affecting a community in the county, that community has had the opportunity to engage in a forum to discuss the impact of the proposed bond. So this will be the second item now in the last month. We're going to be asking whoever is going to be sponsoring the bond to hold a public hearing first, and then once they hold a public hearing, bring it back to the board for their approval. So we're going to go ahead and pull 17. We've already had discussions with this authority about holding the public hearing first. They've agreed to do it, and then once they do it, they'll bring it back, and the board will address it. So 17, along with 15, will both be pulled from the consent for tonight. Okay? And with that, I'd like to make the motion to add a consent non-agenda item to authorize the settlement of Christopher Singletary and Monica Cannon versus Cobb County, Georgia, civil action number 17-A-2883-4 in the State Court of Cobb County, and authorize well, I'd like to add that, I'd like a motion to add that to the consent agenda. Have a second, any discussion? Okay, call the question, passes 5-0. And that, I now make a motion to approve the consent agenda as revised and authorize the execution of the necessary documents by the appropriate county personnel. Have a second, any discussion, call the question, passes 5-0. All right, so thank you. With that, we'll go to regular now, and first up is Ms. Parrish with DOT.
Yes, sir. Good evening. We have 3 items this afternoon. And the first item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve a supplemental agreement, number 1, to the contract with Glosson Enterprises, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $97,000 for safety and operational improvements on Old 41 Highway, Main Street.
Okay, Commissioner Weatherford.
Motion to approve is presented.
Have a second, any discussion? Call the question, passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 2 final to the contract with Glosson Enterprises, LLC, a savings to the project in the amount of $40,470.55 for school zone improvements on Terrell Mill Road at Greenwood Trail, Brumby Elementary School, East Cobb Middle School.
Commissioner Ott.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second discussion, call the question, passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, sir. And our last item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve a consultant services agreement with Ethan Lineback Engineers in an amount not to exceed $474,805.16 for engineering design of Bob Callan Trunk Trail Phase 2.
Commissioner Ott.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, discussion, call the question, passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Erica. And now, Mr. Volkman.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. We have one item for you tonight, and this is to approve supplemental funding for the Medical Examiner's Laboratory Project. This is a 2016 SPLOS project, and this is revised from what was originally printed in the agenda book. We did add language to the background and the impact statement. Should the 2016 SPLOS revenues exceed projected budgets, it is requested that the board consider any additional collections to be returned to the general fund to reimburse the supplemental funding. So that'll happen after we surpass the $750 million that was budgeted for SPLOS collections. So with that, we're asking the Board of Commissioners to approve a general fund balance appropriation in the amount of $8 million to supplement funding for the design and construction of the new medical examiner laboratory facility project within the 2016 SPLOS fund, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Weatherford.
Thank you, and Doctor, for working hard on this and finally getting it done, and motion to approve is presented.
Thanks. Have a second. Any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0. Okay, any further comments tonight, Ms. Dance? None, okay. I believe we have one appointment, Commissioner Ott.
Yes, I just wanted to announce the appointment of Todd Evans to the Electrical Advisory Board.
Okay, and then we'll just stay with you for commissioner comments.
Okay, I just have a couple. This Sunday, starting around 4:30 is when the festivities will begin, but we will have the annual holiday tree lighting at East Cobb Park, and a visit by the jolly old fella. I know Joanne says she can't wait.
He's my favorite Santa.
Commissioner Weatherford's coming?
No.
Oh,
No, he
mean.
has to have the passport to go to East Cobb.
Be nice. It's in her district. All right. The other thing is just a reminder to everyone that this week is early voting for the December 4th runoff election. Unlike normal early voting, there is no early voting on Saturday. You can go to the county webpage, Board of Elections, and also I believe each commissioner has been sending it out to see the locations for early voting. And finally, I want to congratulate Natalie Jeg, the Community Affairs Officer for Precinct 4, for her receiving the Public Safety Officer from Keep Cobb Beautiful. And finally, yesterday, those of you that were watching the meeting know that we talked a little bit about helicopters. And I just came across this quote that said, you know, if helicopters are so safe, how come there are no vintage helicopter fly-ins? I deserve that. And with that, I'm done.
I voted. Yes, just another reminder about early voting. You can visit cobbelections.org for the locations and times and if there's a wait or not. Now through December 17th, you can enjoy all the winter events at the Mountain View Art Place. St. Nick's Cafe is Saturday, December 1st. The Empty Bowl Brunch, Eddie Cannon's favorite, is he here? Is tickets are on sale now for the Empty Bowl Brunch, Sunday, December 9th from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The Artistic Attic, you can shop for Christmas gifts at the Artistic Attic Annual Holiday Show and Sale. Purchase handmade pottery, jewelry, points, ornaments, and more. And it runs from now through December 17th. And details about any of these events are at tapmarietta.com. Senior Santa for Cobb County older adults, sponsoring a holiday lunch for up to 100 seniors. Bingo, games, prizes, $30 donation, and more. You can help a senior by calling 770-528-3368. And also, if you know of, if you are or know of a veteran of in need of critical home repairs, the Home Depot Foundation and Habitat for Humanity has partnered to announce the Veteran Home Repair Program. Military veterans age 50 and over are eligible for free repairs to their home. And there's some flyers in the back table for more information, and the website is nwmetroatlantahabitat.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Weatherford.
Thank you. Just want to announce that the Art Station at Big Shanty and Kennesaw Due West will have the holiday market, and that begins today through the 15th, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Friday to Saturday, 10 to 5. Shop for great local artisan and made gifts. And the open house this Thursday, November 29th at the new Parks and Rec Center, headquarters, County Services Road. If you haven't been there, you need to go. It's from 11 to 2. There's no formal program, but join us in fellowship and refreshments, and it's a drop-in this Thursday from 11 to 2. And that's all I have, sir.
Commissioner Weatherford, Commissioner Cupid.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. There are a number of Christmas and holiday events that will be held in the district, beginning with one this week. The 34th Annual Christmas House and Arts Crafts Show will be held November 30th through December 9th at the Mabel House Art Center off of Floyd Road. Well, there'll be handmade items for sale for the public. And the Mabel's Tea Room will be held December 3rd through the 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And reservations are strongly required for that event. There'll also be a princess party and sing-along, which will be held noon, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on December 9th, where participants are encouraged to wear their dresses and crowns, and all guests must register and space is limited. There's a cost for that event, which is $10 for residents and $15 for non-residents. Mableton will also be holding a tree lighting and candy cane hunt from 4 to 7 p.m. on Saturday, December 1st at the Mableton Town Square, located off of Church Street in front of Mableton Elementary School. There'll be ornament workshops, marshmallow roasting, hot chocolate, and the like, including Santa and a candy cane hunt. So I encourage your family to head out and attend that event. The City of Austell will be holding a family fun festival in downtown historic Austell on December 8th, which is on a Saturday. and that will be from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., again with pictures of Santa, Christmas tree lighting, and also ice sculpture carving and activities for children. In recognition of January being the month where we celebrate the life and works of Dr. Martin Luther King, there'll be auditions held for a joint Cobb County and NAACP event, and auditions for musical and vocal performances will begin on Saturday, December 8th, 2018, and also on Saturday, December 15th, 2018, with the actual event to be held on Monday, January 21st, 2019. And you can contact the Cobb and NAACP to get audition slots, and the auditions will be held at the Jenny T. Anderson Theater. Those are all my announcements, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Cupid. I had some comments about just praising our Board of Elections and registration, but I'm going to wait till after the runoff. Just want to highlight again, we're open for voting, so let's get out there and do our thing and you know, exercise one of the fundamental freedoms that our founding fathers fought so hard for. And the second one is that our Cobb 4-H consumer judging team came in second in a regional competition, and so they continue to excel in many ways. And last but not least, it gives me great pleasure to announce that continuing the success of last year of Commissioner Joanne Burrow being announced as by the Keep Georgia Beautiful board of the local elected official being recognized. This year's honoree is our very own Commissioner Lisa Cupid. So it's the first time in the history of Georgia we've had back-to-back elected officials from the same county. So no pressure next year, Commissioner Rod. With that, we're adjourned.